Kayleen. I'm contractor and co-host with my great friend Scott Shelar, who is the founder of SEFCA. And as normal, we're geeking out before we start the show, talking about things. And so, Scott, what is new with you this week? Any fun conversations or meetings happening?
Hi, Kayleen. Yeah, I had a fun conversation yesterday it was like a vision of the future. I was talking to a parent who's not in the industry, by the way. She runs like a leadership training program. And she told me about her sons. They had graduated from high school. She said one is in college, he's going to a university, and the other is in a trade school. And she spoke equally proud about both of them. And I was like, wait a minute, this is so cool. And I stopped her and I told her what I do. And she said, yeah, she said one son was at the University of Florida. The other one had started school at the University of North Florida. But after one semester, he said, I do not want to do this. He said, I'm done with this. But fortunately, she had a lot of friends in construction. And she reached out to this electrical contractor and they hired him and put him in their apprenticeship program. And she was so thrilled that he had an option. She knew that college wasn't what he was going to do, but she was so thankful that she had another equally good option. And I just thought that was such a cool story. I was like, that is awesome. And I just praised her for lifting that up and seeing as clearly as she did. So.
Yes, no, that is fantastic. And that is, I hope, to be the trend in the future, because you're right. Holding both these career paths in the same regard is amazing. I'm sure her kids are grateful for that, instead of one being the black sheep who went into the trades or something. And and also props for praising the parent, because that's something, we've been talking about, is parents feeling some sort of failure if they are encouraging the college path, and really reinforcing that there is success all over the place, and college is one bit of it. It's not the whole part. So
absolutely. And she said, he's 2 years into it, and she said he's happier than he's ever been. And she said that alone makes it worth it. Just seeing him happy and proud of what he was doing. So yeah, it made my day, and I couldn't wait to share it with you today. So
yeah, that made my day. It's a nice little repeat. Well, this is a total failure, Scott. Normally sometimes we start the show with a cool tool to geek out with, but I've been on a job site the last few days and all my cool tools are there. So, actually, I'm very happy. I guess my favorite thing that I'd geek out about right now is a chair to sit in, because job sites are aggressive and they're fun, but it's nice sometimes to take a break and chat with folks. And I'm really excited about our guest this week, because being a lover of construction, as we all are, speaking to someone who's in the industry working on really cool projects is a neat opportunity to geek out.
Definitely. And John Lewis and Holder Construction are two of my favorites in this industry. I work with a lot of construction companies, so I can't say that Holder is my favorite, but they're definitely right up there. They're just an amazing company. You've met them several times. You've been on a couple of their projects. We met Evan McGee. That was earlier this year. That seems like a lifetime ago, but that was February of this year, right? It wasn't even a year ago. But
yeah.
That was a Holder project, as you recall, up in Athens. In fact, that John may be over that project as well. He said he was over a project in Athens, so you might want to ask him about that. But they just have amazing people on their team, and they're really aggressive about getting involved with high school programs and our Career Expo, and they've just been there from the very beginning. And it's people like John Lewis that make it successful. So I'm so thankful you get to talk with him, and I'm going to sit back and listen to your conversation.
Yes, excellent. And I'm happy you'll be hanging around. So all of our viewers know that if you have any questions, you can always text, and Scott will be able to answer right away. And then Scott, you'll join us at the end so we can, continue geeking out. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. So this is, it is awesome to speak with folks in the industry, especially with an established company where, bye, Scott. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for lunch. Kind of the thought that I was going with is I'm so excited to get to talk with someone who's been at a company that's not only established, but you have employees that have been there for a while, which to me is a sign of a healthy, prosperous company that really takes care of their employees. And so, John, can you talk about, first of all, what do you do with Holder Construction?
Well, yeah. So I'm a general superintendent, which which ultimately means that I help provide oversight for multiple projects, and help guide, coach, teach, whatever I can to help the team, help them through technical issues if and when needed. But really, more than anything, just be there for them, and if they have questions, concerns, whatever, answer the phone and ask them how I can help them.
That's awesome. Yeah, communication, I think, is one of the biggest tools that we have in our repertoire as far as contractors, and you get to employ that all the time. But Holder Construction has been around for 30 years. That is absolutely, I'm sorry, for 60 years, my bad. And it's in 30 states, which is incredible. It's not often you come across companies of this stature and level completing projects. So why do you think this kind of long-term success? Is there some sort of magic ingredient?
Well, if I told you that, then it wouldn't be a secret, right? And everybody would replicate it. But I've only been there for a fraction of those 60 years. But certainly for me, I immediately fell in love with the culture, and more specifically the way that we do business, the way that Holder treats each and every associate, the small family feel company that we are, is what just made me want to do my best and continue to be a valued employee for them. But there's so many things that I could tell you that is key to the success of the company. But I think most of them, they all come back around to people in some fashion. And, people being our most important and biggest asset, the way we treat one another, the respect that we have, the connected leadership that we continue to be very intentional about, it all puts the pieces together for something that's very, very enjoyable, and it just works.
That is so well said. I'm not sure if I have come across many folks who hit on the culture point. And you can have the coolest tools in the world and work on the neatest job sites with the best products, but if the people don't care about each other, not much happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been known to say that I don't feel like I've worked very many years in my career with Holder, because it just doesn't feel like work. It feels like where I belong. It feels like home. It feels like family.
That's fantastic. No, did you come into Holder as a superintendent?
I did not. No, I started in 1999, and I started as an assistant superintendent up in Illinois, where we were building a big corporate headquarters for a Midwest insurance company. And then after that project, I was fortunate enough for them to ask me to relocate, and I did, and that's where I started.
That's incredible. I think it's important too for folks to know, like, you can be successful in this career. You don't get to be bosso your first job or right out of the gate. So you came from Illinois and now you're in Atlanta. So what are some of the projects that Holder is working on in Atlanta?
Oh my! Well, we've got a number of projects. I think the most notable probably is we've got a rather large effort going on out in Social Circle for a big media company. We've been out there for years, and it looks like we're going to be there for several more. There's a lot of people working on that project. We're always working at the airport. It seems like we always have something going on there, and we continue to work down there. We've got a project in Midtown that we're doing for it's a corporate office building for a company that's getting ready to relocate to Midtown from another state. It's a great project. We're right in the middle of it. In fact, that's where I am today. And then we've got another big project up in the Dunwoody area for the same Midwest insurance company that I started with 20 plus years. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on. We got a lot of work going on, and there's plenty to do. That's for sure.
For sure. I mean, it sounds like you folks need people left and right, but it's also impressive because you say some of these building projects that you're working on with a little bit of vagueness. But can we talk about maybe one of the most famous projects in Atlanta that most folks know, the stadium?
Yeah. Of course, Holder Construction Company was integral part of that project. I personally was not involved in that project. I would say that one of my colleagues that helped train and develop me was the guy in my position on that role. Most people know him in Atlanta. That's Bob Evans. But what an incredible project. It's one of them things that's a once in a lifetime thing. Although, Bob built the Georgia Dome, tore it down, and then built right next to it the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So what an incredible career to be able to do that.
Yes, and also aspirational for the younger contractors coming in to think that someday they could work on something that is seen every week on a national audience, this amazing structure. I mean, it is definitely some cool engineering and construction that happened with that project. So there's a lot of pride that happens with this industry. And it's cool you say Bob Evans. That's an amazing story of being able to take the project almost full circle again. I'll be impressed if he sticks around for the third iteration of the Falcon Stadium.
Well, I think if he had his choice, that definitely would be the case.
Yeah, some people cannot stop working in it. And I understand why. I think the more we meet people in the industry, we find out how much we love what we do, genuinely at the core. And Holder, being around since the 1960s, I'm so passionate about it. I love what I do. I get up every day. The last 3 days, I've eaten sawdust on a mountaintop and I'm exhausted, but I can't wait to go back tomorrow. But has Holder seen a steady decline in the number of students entering in the professions? Have you folks also felt that?
Well, I would say from my perspective, the answer to that is no. I mean, when you think about how we recruit and how we get the majority of our employees, that really hasn't been an issue. If you talk about the guys, the craftsmen that are out actually doing the work, certainly over the years, it seems to continue to be a challenge to find qualified workers that are capable of performing the work to the quality expectations that we have. But we talk about that a lot, but yet we always find a way to make it work, and we always find those people. And usually when we find them, then they stick around for a lot of the reasons that we talked about earlier.
Oh, big time. And I'm sure because it's a valuable asset. Once you find an employee who is passionate and then loves their work, you do not want to let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. And as these jobs come and go, when the jobs are winding down, there's a group of guys that get together and talk very much about where we're going to send guys and how we're going to keep them busy, and which jobs we're going to send them to and how long they're going to be there. And so that's a huge effort for us to make sure that we continue to move people around where we need them while we're finishing jobs, and for that matter, getting ready to start the new ones.
That's incredible to take care of your employees like that and sort of guarantee a consistent income, especially sometimes in an industry where it fluctuates. So if I'm an employee for Holder, which who knows, someday I'll probably apply and want to come hang out with y'all. Do I need to be flexible with where I live? Is that something that would benefit me?
Well, certainly we've been very fortunate over the years to be invited back by several of our clients, and they decide where they want to build. So the ability to remain, agile as a company is a huge benefit. So yeah, I would say that Kayleen, if that's where you want to head sometime, I would recommend that during the interview process, you check the box that says, I'm ready to go anywhere you want to go.
That is so to know. Because, another hidden gem that we don't talk about in this industry is the exposure to the world. We can take these skills globally, and especially with Holder being in 30 states, if a student or a future candidate is watching this interview, knowing that you could travel or see other parts of the world is pretty enticing. So outside of, me just being a geek for it, what are some of the things you do for recruitment? How have you been successful with this?
Well, I mean, let's start with an organization like SEFCA around the country. We try to connect with them type of organizations in every city that we work in. We try to make connections with trade schools, and we try to partner with them. We also try to work our way into relationships with the technical high schools and any school that may have a CTE program. We make an effort to make those connections, essentially open up the lines of communication and get in front of young men and women and explain to them what we have to offer. And when we do that, it works out great. We get great talent. We got, men and women that want to come, spend their careers with us. And we do that. And like I said, we talked earlier about the West Side Works, at least Scott Sheeler and I did before this session. And that's where I met him. That's how I know you. And getting involved in those things and going and showing a commitment to the community that you have places for young men and women to come work is a big deal.
Oh, what a great example you're setting too, because, we have interviewed teachers as well as counselors, and how do you make that connection? So sorry to put you on the spot, but is there an email address that if we have any teachers watching who would love information to come into their classroom that they can go to?
Yes, absolutely. It's very simple. It's first initial, last name. So it's, in my case, it's jlewis@holder.com.
Be ready to have your internet crash. You're going to have your
I'm looking forward to it.
Flooded. I hope so, because what a cool opportunity for teachers to understand that there are companies out there, as well as parents to understand that companies really want skilled craft workers. And now you're setting the example of, this is how we're going to reach out and show you. So besides just organic like that, are there programs that Holder has to show students the lucrative careers as well as fulfilling opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we make these connections in our communities, one of the things that we try to explain right away is that, there's not a lot of experience that's required to get started on a construction site. If you have the desire to work, show up on time, work for somebody that's going to give you some direction and do your best that you can do while you're at work, then we've got a spot for anybody that fits that description. We do tell people that, it's okay that you're still in high school. If you have to take a summer class, or if we need to work around a schedule somehow, we will and we can. And so our program is pretty simple, Kayleen. Really, it's if you want to work and we have the opportunity, then we can get you to work. And then if you have special circumstances that we need to work around, we understand that. We recognize that young people are continuing to get their education, and we do our best to accommodate that.
That is absolutely incredible to offer that sort of support to your employees, because this industry is ever evolving. You want to keep up on credentialing and certification. So to have an employer who is conscious about that, knowing I'm trying to better myself, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that while employing me. Wow. Holder, I imagine, I view Holder as a giant company because too, I was flying all the time. So I saw Holder in the airport a lot. It was waving to folks with my hard hat walking through. But how does your program differ than from larger companies? I guess for me, sorry for the tangent. tangent. What really blows my mind is the culture part to this. It just sounds like you're taking care of your employees from the moment they're hired. So before I answer your question or my question, please go ahead.
Yeah, Kayleen, I got to start by saying, I'm not exactly sure. I can only share with you what people have told me. Obviously, I've been at Holder for over 20 years, like we talked about. So I don't know how everybody else does it. The feedback that I've gotten from from our partners and from the connections that I've made, throughout the Atlanta metro area is that, we are very intentional about how we do it. We set up appointments, we book dates, we publish to them when we're going to start looking at people for summer work.
Wow.
And it really, I've been given the feedback that it revolves around the way that we communicate and the way that we explain what those opportunities are and where they're at.
That is such a gift too, because part of my experiment right now is showing people again how to get started in work, but more on a smaller scale. And you'd be surprised how many contractors don't communicate to you until even the day of the location you're going to be at or what you're going to be doing. And that is stressful as an employee. And so what a wonderful gift you're giving to your employees as far as relieving that, alleviating, the what ifs. Because even some days, not so much in Atlanta, I guess, but how should you dress? We get snow here a lot in Colorado. So, okay, now let's pretend I'm still in high school and I see this interview and I'm like, wow, they sound amazing. Are there positions for a high schooler? Like, would it be beneficial for a high schooler to even reach out?
Yeah, Kayleen, like I said, the first thing that has to exist is the opportunity, and we have plenty of work, and we retain a lot of our employees, and so people like us when they come join us. But certainly, we have entry-level positions almost all the time. If you meet a young man or woman that's really excited about it, and they show how interested they are in learning about construction and maybe even continuing their education in construction, whatever it may be, when you find that person or persons, then it's very likely that we can find a spot for somebody to go to work. I would say that that there's, if you're interested, please contact me. We can talk about what that looks like and where those are. But, around the Atlanta area, we've got jobs in different locations. Sometimes the opportunity doesn't always line up with where, the student may want to be close to home. Well, in Atlanta traffic, sometimes that, isn't always the perfect recipe, but most of the time we can find a spot.
That's excellent to know. And also, do I need to have any sort of college education or degrees to apply?
No, absolutely not. I said earlier that if you have the desire to work hard, show up on time, and do what's asked of you. Construction is an outdoor job, and in the summertime it's hot, and in the wintertime it's cold. And dealing with those conditions is a big deal, and we understand that. We try to do our best to take care of our men and women and get them out of that heat and out of that cold at times. But, there's no formal education required. You don't even have to be in a construction class in high school to want an entry-level labor position. So that is not, those requirements do not exist. No.
That is excellent, because I don't have any college credit. So when I apply to be a laborer, another stressor off my plate. What is though enjoyable is that I'm sure many of your employees have continued their education. So if they want to pursue more and get a university degree, they can. There's a lot of different jobs, I'm sure, with Holder Construction that would require that kind of education.
Yeah, absolutely. We just like any other company, we have departments that require all kinds of educated men and women. So it doesn't just have to be construction. That's true.
Yes. Oh, the sky's the limit. I mean, I enjoy making a mess in power tools. I don't function well in an office, but high five to those folks who can. Holder has just worked on some amazing projects, and we've been fortunate enough actually to meet some of your employees. We got to interview and hang out with Evan McGee on one of your job sites, and just so amazing to look how excited he is. He's young, you know, taking advantage out of high school, this opportunity. And I met him, I'm like, you're going to be here forever and learn so much stuff and with different skills. Because Holder does sort of have some specialities, and it's the nation's largest builder of data centers. Can you talk to me? And I've been fortunate enough to walk through a data center, and my brain fell out of my head. It was incredible. I had no idea how big they were or what was going on. So does that building require a specific type of skill?
Yeah, Kayleen, it certainly does. I mean, we've been, again, you know, pretty fortunate to be successful in that genre, and we have a bunch of smart men and women that you know, have a specialty for the mechanical, electrical, you know, trades. You know, that expertise is highly technical, as you mentioned. I mean, more so than learning how to put the, you know, brick on the side of a building. It's a little different to learn how to make things work and function properly. And so there are skill sets that, you know, are definitely required. And we're very fortunate to have a lot of people that have those skill sets. And therefore, you know, you mentioned the fact that we are the #1 data center builder, and there's a reason why, and that's because our people are awesome. They just learn, and we get better, and we figure out how to do it faster, better, safer, and because of that, we have really, you know, been successful.
It's amazing. I mean, these job sites have been some of the cleanest that I've ever walked around. And being on a construction site, you're used to being gross and dirty, but not at those facilities. So, Scott, I'm so happy you were able to join us again. This has been so much fun. What were your thoughts on today's chat?
Well, I was just thinking about some of our graduates who are working with Holder. I was thinking about Ian Miller. He's tuning in. I don't even know, John, you may know where he is. I think he's up somewhere in the Northeast, if I'm not mistaken, on a project up there. He's a construction ready grad from West Side Works. And then I was thinking about Evan McGee too. You brought him up. John, a quick funny story. Kayleen and I went out there for the video shoot, and we were kind of geeking out over this Jeep in the parking lot. It was a brand new shiny Jeep. And we were looking at it saying, boy, that's a nice looking car. And the superintendent and Evan walk out, and the superintendent said, that's Evan's Jeep. He noticed we were looking at it. And Evan is a fresh high school graduate. He graduated, you know, last year, and he's driving this cool Jeep and just living the life. And it was just really cool to see. Kayleen mentioned just how happy he is to be out there on a job site. But you know, Kayleen, that's the type of employee. I encounter a lot of Holder employees, and they're all very passionate about what they do. And that seems to be a common thread between, you know, all the Holder associates I've met over the years, is they love building. And if you love building, Holder Construction is a great place to go and work, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it's I'm actually a friend with Evan on social media. Hashtag aren't you jealous? But it's really cool to see he's happy in his life in general, and Holder giving him the opportunity for these experiences is incredible. And I have a Jeep, but when I saw his, I had Jeep envy. I was like, come on. And to find out that it was, you know, the person that we were interviewing talking about his happiness and success with Holder, what a perfect thing. So, John, this was amazing. I wish we had longer to chat, actually. Like, I don't even feel like I got to any of the questions. Nice.
Yeah, likewise, Kayleen. Thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it. But yeah, you know, Evan's story is incredible, and really every single person that we interview and talk to has the same opportunity. It's what you make of it once you get in the door, and Evan has certainly taken advantage of that, and we just love him for that. FYI, you guys probably already know this because you follow him, but he is now a salaried associate after coming work with us with 0 construction experience, and he's in New Jersey, and he's playing a big role on that project. So quite a story. So proud of him.
Yes, it is amazing. And John, one more time, can you please give us your email address so folks can reach out and just contact you directly?
Yes, indeed. Again, it's Lewis, Lewis, at holder.com.
Awesome. And Sky, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to John for joining us, man. I know you're super busy, but it's so good to see you again. And just thank you for all you do for SEFCA, all that you and Holder do to support our organization. You guys allow us to do the great work we do. So we appreciate your leadership and your time today. Thank you, John.
Yeah, well, thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, and to all of our fans and viewers watching today, thanks for sticking around. Next week, we're going to be chatting about amazing things with CTE. And again, if you have any questions, you can always text Career Path to 31996, and we'll see you all next week. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Kayleen. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.